Hello.
Hola. Hey,
Hi.
guys.
Sorry, I meant to turn around this way. Hey, guys.
Hola.
Hi.
Hola, ¿cómo
Hi.
están?
Hi, hi,
¿Cómo
hi, hi,
están?
hi.
¡Huepa! ¡Cali pachanguera!
Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody joining in. We're going to give a couple of minutes here. A ver quién se apunta.
Oops. Ugh.
Estoy lista. Quiero viajar con ustedes.
Sí, vente. Vente, Cindy. Ya, you already went to Cali, didn't you?
No, I haven't been to Cali. So that would be new for me.
Dang. I thought hi.
Hola. Okay. Vamos a empezar. Para todas presentes, everybody here, hello, welcome. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Cindy, the new co-founder of Travel Latina. We have a good Latica ahead of us with Borja from Scarlet Macaw and with our very own Ali Tracy Chavagaga. Today we will be chatting about the importance of healing, self-care, and community care in entrepreneurship. But before we talk about that, let's dive a little bit into Salsa Terapia, which is a trip tailored for avid dancers who want to celebrate and honor
Salud.
Colombian traditions via movement and salsa classes in the heart of Cali. Known as the salsa capital of the world, the trip will take place during La Feria de Cali, the most famous salsa celebration known internationally, which takes place Christmas Day until the day before New Year's Eve. This trip is for you if you find energy in learning new styles of dance, or if you've ever wanted to learn more about salsa caleña. This trip offers moments of rejuvenation through dance classes, culture experiences, and local guides. So join us to learn more about what gives caleños their famous chispa and cultivate physical movement with amazing music during the holidays while energizing your body, mind, and soul. Personally, I have not been to Cali yet. I've been to Colombia, fui a Cartagena y fui a Santa Marta, and I had a beautiful experience there in Colombia. Me imagino que Cali would be amazing too. But I do know someone who has a lot of experience with Cali, and her name is Sahara. Sahara spent the first 3 years of her life in Cali, Colombia, with her extended family. Much later, after teaching in Cali and contemplating a research grant in Cartagena, she began to further connect with her roots through her brand, a social purpose travel effort, Scarlet Macaw. She has curated trips to Cartagena, Medellin, Salento, Jardín, and many more. The trips find mutually beneficial ways for travelers, local artisans, NGOs, local orgs, schools, and women's groups in the region to work together within the broader, more well-known travel experience. Travel Latina has collaborated with Sahara in the past with our successful trip to Salento, Conexión Latinx, with 11 inspiring Latinas on the cusp of their own passion projects who wanted to connect with their ancestral roots. So, Sahara, what are you most looking forward to for this trip, Salsa Terapia?
Yes, thank you. Hello. And this is my first Instagram live ever. So I'm going to do my best. I have to move this out of the way. Hold on. Yes. First of all, I just wanted to say Colombia is special for so many reasons. One of which, in my mind, is that every region has something so particular to it and so special about it. It's like 50 countries in one country. And anywhere you travel, if you are interested in traveling to Colombia, there's just like adventure and a different dialect and different music and different food and different light and different, flora and fauna in almost every region of it. And I've always found that really inspiring. And, for me, Cali was the first place that I knew about in Colombia. And that's one of the reasons it's so special to me. My family is from there. My father's from there. And, the first 3 years of my life, I spent there. So a lot of what's like in my subconscious is really from Cali, and just like the smell and the sounds and the taste, like it's kind of just all in me. So we've never curated a trip to Cali before, and that is one reason why I'm super excited about this. It is our first trip to Cali. So to back up, salsa terapia encompasses my love of dance and travel combined. And Ale and I have been talking about doing something like this since 2015. We were gonna do something, not, well, yeah, similar in idea in Cartagena, but life happens, and we later regrouped for Conexión Latinx in 2017-18. But this particular trip combines dance and travel, and we're going to talk about our own experience and what dance and community and dance means to us later. There's also the honor that I have of being able to, for the first time ever, combine the familiarity and hospitality of my extended family and their network in Cali to our community traveling abroad to Cali, along with everything Cali has to offer, and a unique immersion experience. It's not quite on the map yet. Cali is a destination for people traveling to Colombia, but it's, unless you're a what do you call it, la melomano, or salsa phone, it's not usually people's first destination. And I kind of like it for that reason as well, that it's not like top one destination in Colombia. Still feels like a very real city. So it offers a really unique experience in Colombia. It's not sort of fully well, like, I mean, there are travelers there, but it's not like the first destination. So I love the idea of putting Cali's music scene at the front and center on this trip, and finding ways to work with local tour guides and local music experts and local artisans on the way. And it's also a passion project, because all of the women with whom I've danced over the years, I've formed really close relationships with. It feels like I'm able to give something back to them. I know their standards are really high when it comes to quality of music and teachers and experience in the studio and classes. And I know that they want the most life has to offer in so many ways. So setting an experience like this with this kind of person in mind, which is the person with whom I've shared studio space with over the past decade, is like an honor to them, and homage to them, and ode to them, because of how rewarding and beautiful I know Cali to be.
Nice. Yeah, you're right. I don't see too much Cali like marketing on like social media, and that could be absolutely positive, because it leaves us to discover what is here, what can I do once you land. It'll all be a surprise, and if I'm being guided by someone like you, I'm sure it's going to be phenomenal.
Thank you, Cindy.
Dancing, Sahara. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Dos bailarinas listas para.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. I mean, part of the embarrassment is like I definitely, and I don't have salsa caleña like running through me. I've taken a lot of folklore classes and reggaeton and choreography classes. So for me, humbly, it's also going to be an experience. So I'm looking forward to getting into the uncomfortable zone.
What about you? What are you looking forward to in this trip that you will be leading?
Sorry, I have to unmute myself. There's a lot of echo, so could you ladies please mute while each other are speaking? Yeah, no, I'm so excited. I've really been leaning into being a dancer lately. I have my master's in international relations. I have been a project manager for 8 years. And I was in Washington, D.C. up until this past fall. And honestly, the only thing that got me through living in Washington, D.C. 4 years was my dancing. And so I've just been really leaning into that part of me. It's been something that has been bringing so much abundance in my life. And so I'm excited. You know, I have been dancing since I was 9 years old. My first performance was in Hawaiian dance in Mexico, living in Mexico, actually. Like, it was the most random thing. I don't know why my mom didn't want to put us in like some kind of like folklorico or something like that. Maybe because we're Colombian. Like she was like, let's do something different. I don't know. But we did Hawaiian. And after 26 years, you know, it's just been like doing a lot of Colombian dances that I learned from my family, or that I just literally from watching YouTube or watching Shakira growing up, of course. And like, you know, I consider myself, you know, my style of dance is like, I'm really big into world dancing, and I'm all about choreography explorando. And so I also consider myself a carnavalera internacional. And so, yes, Cali for me was just like, I've been really studying a lot of like cumbia and puya and like more carnival, like estilos carnavaleros from Colombia, because I was living there for my Peace Corps service. And so for me, it was just like, I haven't really been able to dive into Cali. You know, some of my best friends are Caleñas, and like there really is just this, there's just this chispa, like Colombians, we call that the chispa of Caleños when you meet them. I see it in Sahara, I see it in like my best friends that are from there. Like there's just this certain joy of living that emanates from Caleños, or people that derive from, or, you know, like the descendants of Caleños. Like they just have this energy to them that I saw a lot in costeños, Caribeños from Colombia too. And I just really feel like it all comes down to this like celebration of life and music, and uh, dancing, like non-stop dancing. Like it's just amazing how people do not stop dancing. And the only other country in the world that I've seen this much music and dancing is Brazil. There's no other countries like Brazil and Colombia in terms of the non-stop music and dancing, and how that really like it impacts people's soul and energy from there. So for me, I would say I'm looking forward to shooting professional photography and videos with the trip attendees, taken by local content creators, and maybe even coordinate. You know, we've been talking about like matching outfits or costumes if possible. I'm looking forward to approaching the festival as a healing one, through dance movement, through connecting with Caleños and their, like I said, their famous chispa energy. I'm also interested in finding a balance in an extremely extroverted culture and art form. As a dancer, like I'm such an introvert, but then I get dancing and it's like the extrovert comes out. So, you know, I like to find time in my normal life and on trips to spend time by myself. And so I think that this trip is like a perfect representation of what I am too, which is like the introverted extrovert, or the ambivert. It kind of leans more introverted. So, so yeah, I'm just super excited. And I think that this all ties into our conversation of today, about healing in through different ways, right?
Yes, yes. I traveled to Brazil and I went to Brazil's Carnival. And so if you're telling me that the energy of Colombia, Cali is very similar, then man, everyone should get ready to party, 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 right? Energy all out. And I like you said, it's so beautiful that you're combining your love for travel and also your healing modalities that you practice, you know, like your dancing, which dancing and movement is extremely healing. And it's something that I know you're very gifted at. So thank you for sharing all of that. Yeah. So moving on to our first topic of tonight, healing. Healing is an ancient and profound practice that seeks to address the well-being of us as individuals and at a deep spiritual level. Beyond conventional medicine and physical remedies, it embraces the idea that our spiritual and emotional states play a crucial part in our overall health. So, with a focus on inner balance, self awareness, and connection to our higher self, healing offers a path to a better mental state and personal growth. Um, I would love it if y'all could share in what ways y'all practice healing in your personal lives, starting with Sahara, please.
Yes, I just wanted to circle back to the Carnaval thing. I would love to go to Carnaval in Brazil, and I did not make it for all 5 days in the last time I was at the Cali Feria de Salsa. So I'm not beholding anyone on this trip to make it to 5 days, and I'm definitely not over programming for this trip for 5 days. There's just no way. So we're picking and choosing the best parts of the Feria de Salsa because we are just going to be like tired from getting our own dance on. So anyway, I would never make anyone do 5 days of feria. But if you can do that, let me know what you're eating because I don't know. Yeah, so for me, dance is how I healed, just straight up. I had an eating disorder that I'm totally fine to talk about now. It seems like very much in the past when I was, 3 out of 4 years of college. Um, and I just was not connected with self. And I moved back home to the Bay Area after I graduated and kind of, was just like, didn't want to go to therapy, was out of my body, was out of like, I was depressed. And I found my way back to a dance studio just out of curiosity in the Mission. It was like, I think in the earlier years of the SF Hip Hop Dance Fest. And I took one class and my body couldn't retain the choreography. And I got so pissed off that I didn't go back for like another 8, 9 months. But, when I was 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, I took dance in the burbs where I grew up with my mom and my stepfather. And I was like, this is ridiculous. And I just went back. And from the second time that I went back, I started taking like 2, 3, 4, as much as I could afford dance classes. And it dance helped me get back in my body. It helped me be present. It helped me understand what the notion of meditation is because I was not, I don't think, as a 24-year-old able to sort of practice any kind of meditation. But dance and being present and being in my body and my mind not being anywhere else, but in that moment with my feet on the floor was my sort of like segue into later years of like, understanding and doing whatever format of meditation worked for me. So intense dance classes and immersing myself in that dance community, regardless, for me, it really wasn't about socializing. Like, I used to have a dance teacher that said, like, nobody's getting work today, so just have fun, like nobody's going like straight to, the Beyonce videos from these dance classes. So just like enjoy yourselves and like nobody's looking at you in the mirror. Like it's you and you. So for me, that is what healed me. And I lost myself and found myself in the same studio. And for me, home is home and church and any of those things for me has always been dance class, a studio, wooden floor, a room full of people not talking, but moving in their own bodies, which are our homes and our second homes, which is the studio. So for me, that has always been very clear cut. Like for me, it has and will always be dance. And, I will always be postpartum, but I'm 22 months postpartum. I have a toddler now, and it's missing from my life. I feel it. I absolutely feel it as like that would be part of my healing in a postpartum journey that I just, for a number of reasons, haven't been able to get back to. But for me, it's home within a home, and that is sort of the healing that I seek. And I always feel like I'm not going to say reborn, that's like a bit extreme, but it provides something that nothing else has ever provided for me, and the connection to people in the room, connection to the music, whatever it is I'm learning, has always been my healing. And I consider it very deep and profound work. So sharing that with people who feel that to any kind of extent, to any kind of degree, and really creating a safe space and a fun space and honoring each other, with the privilege to be able to do that this day and age, the way the world is. I just honor it so much. And for me, that is healing.
Thanks for sharing. Thank you. You know, I'm also a mom. I have a 4-year-old now. So I can definitely relate to what you just said, you know, like wanting to go back into that space, which was dance for you, right? Healing. And yeah, you will, with time, I feel like you will definitely, I think, dive back into it full force, and it'll come back, you know, hopefully. For me, it was yoga. Yoga was my space for healing. And also when after postpartum, for many reasons, had a hard time going back to the yoga studio. But in one way or another, I tried to incorporate it at home, you know, just to keep my balance, because it's a time of transition, and it's important that we stay grounded, right? Yeah. Ale, how about you? And in what ways have you practiced healing in your personal life?
Well, as a dancer, I am a dance teacher. I'm also a Reiki energy healing practitioner, so I'm at level 2. I'm still very much learning, but I love to help people in various healing journeys. And I'm also interested in like learning more about like Colombian indigenous curanderismo. Like that's something that I'm like I want to incorporate with my energy healing, and also dancing. It's all kind of incorporated. But I would say that for me, like not only helping others with these things, but also just in general, um, the things that I've gone through other than like dance. I would agree with all of you, both of you, like movement and just getting your body moving is such a healing thing, but obviously it's not the only thing. Like you can't just rely on that alone. And so, you know, in my past I've done things from psychological or psychiatric therapy sessions that have been very, very helpful. um, I've done shamanic journeying where it's pretty much like somebody um, puts me under like gives me a meditative or hypnosis type of state and guides me through a scenario and describe like what I'm seeing and things like that. That was actually a really cool experience. Yoga classes as well. I love yoga and Reiki. My Reiki sessions to learn from so that I improve my Reiki. Like to one and like different spiritual thoughts. I love that about Reiki. It's a Japanese style of energy healing, but it is super open to like, oh, you want to incorporate some of your indigenous curanderismo? Perfect. You want to do some shamanic, you know, this and that? All right, perfect. You want to do some santeria from Cuba? Great. You know, so I just love that it's very open and loves to incorporate lots of different thoughts. And then also just in general, journaling and affirmation mindset work has been huge for me in the past 2 years. Like I said earlier, just to cope with my very fast paced and toxic life in Washington, D.C., it was very difficult for me to be positive or even happy about it. So my dancing helped cope, my therapy helped cope, but also just in general, like my mindset work was super important. Writing 10 things a day that I'm grateful for. And I don't do this every single day. I'm very, very flexible with myself and kind with myself. I would say I would probably do it like 3 to 4 times a week. But trying to get in that routine of 10 things I'm grateful for, and then literally like I am or present statements of just like what I want in my life. And I can't say, you know, like I did get to move back to California, which was, I feel like, one thing that I really worked on in my affirmations. And also my work with dancing. You know, there's a lot of stuff going on in my life, and stuff is still transitioning, but I keep with the chaos, like, have kept such optimism. And so that alone has been such a healing journey for me for the past 2 years, just seeing myself go from miserable to happy and glowing.
Thanks for sharing that, Ale. What about, how do you feel that how does your healing journey translate to your entrepreneurship journey? How do you feel like those two connect? Ali, if you want to share, just adding on to what you mentioned.
Sure. I think for entrepreneurship, I would say that today, I wouldn't be where I am today without focusing on healing my PTSD that I acquired during my Peace Corps service in 2017. And I would not be here today without some diligent mindset work, like I told you all. And so figuring that out, like doing that work, has brought me to understand my real passions, yeah, international relations, but maybe not so much for working in DC in a toxic work office environments, for example. Maybe doing that more through creative work, through dancing, or through Travel Latina, for example, entertainment, diversity and inclusion, and speaking on stage. So this work has literally gotten me to realize, like, oh my gosh, like, I am focusing on the wrong things. I am so unhappy. Like, I am in a toxic environment. I need to focus on what I truly, truly love, what I truly, truly feel aligned with. And that means my entrepreneurship journey. Like, I really do feel that pursuing it harder, and unfortunately that does mean that I've been pursuing my dancing more than Travel Latina, for example, but like pursuing it has brought me so much joy, and like has like just so much fire into it. And I've never made so much money. I'm 35 years old and I've never made so much money off of my dancing. And that still to me is like, what? It doesn't make sense, but I feel truly aligned with my entrepreneurship journey when it comes to my dancing and my international dancing. Yeah, I would just say I have made real money with that, and that I feel that I've truly attracted many opportunities that I never thought were possible before. And I truly feel that it was because I have done the work of healing in so many different ways.
Right. Like you said, I think you used a key word right now, alignment, right? Like, as you were on this journey, it seems like different things have been aligning for you. And sorry, you froze for a minute. It seems like different things have been aligning for you. And who knows, right? Who knows where, had you not been consciente, and worked on that, perhaps, who knows where life would have led, right? And I definitely have seen, like, your work and your healing and your dancing journey, and your passion for it. And I, like, always rooted you on for it. I'm like, go for it, do it, because I see it in you. I see that it's what brings you joy, you know. Yeah. So moving on to our next topic, which is self-care. Like you've mentioned, Ale, your DC experience, right? And how we're always like in the hustle bustle here, in that's how it feels here in the US. and our self-care sometimes unfortunately takes the back seat. But unfortunately, yeah, that leads to stress and burnout and a sense of disconnect from ourselves. And this is also very common for entrepreneurs like ourselves, right? So we need to figure out different ways to take care of ourselves day to day, every day, and not just see self-care as a passing trend, you know, because it's all over social media. It's like self-care this, self-care that, but what is to care, you know, and how do we practice it in order to prioritize our physical and emotional and mental needs, right? So do y'all, Sahar, I'm going to ask you this question. Do you have any advice in ways that entrepreneurs can find balance between self-care and their work?
Yeah, I hope you guys can hear me okay. It's a little shaky. I also wanted to echo what Sin was saying. Ale, I've also witnessed exactly what you said from the time that I met you in Peace Corps, and just like I've always been in your corner, and I know it hasn't been easy, and I feel like you are coming out of it and have been coming out of it. So there's a lot of strength there, despite you calling yourself, you know, a little bit of an introvert. There's so much strength there. And so just to say that I've seen that too, and it is inspiring. So big hug. Um, yeah, I definitely don't have any advice. I have struggled, and I just want to be extremely real. I have struggled to do everything. Um, I think that I have always felt myself a little bit like fissured. You know, it's like my partner, and I. You know, it hasn't been an easy road from Colombia back to the U.S. Um, and just meaning to say that I've never been able to throw all of myself behind this like passion project. And we've done successful trips that, you know, were just like my whole heart. They were so great and fun and rewarding. And it was just like, I wish I could do this full time. And so I'm still kind of there on the cusp, you know, between what I want, what I wish, what could be. So I definitely don't have advice in any fiscal way. um, but just, you know, for me, like when I think about entrepreneurship, I think about business, and then that immediately turns me off just because it's so antithetical to who I am. Um, for me, I think like keeping a bit of yourself in whatever it is you are pursuing or sharing with the world is kind of the way that I keep it safe and caring for myself, which is to not, you know, it's one thing to go out of your comfort zone, but just like imbuing a business with who I am, the qualities that I bring to relationships and to family members and to my child, and, you know, to people of other cultures who you meet, you know, when you travel, like that is what I sort of bring to this passion project that I do have, you know, great aspirations for. So it's also just like when I do these trips, it's a reminder of how rewarding it can be to go out of your comfort zone and interact with people and communicate, despite how broken my Spanish feels it could be sometimes. But getting out of my comfort zone in these travel scenarios has been self-care. It's so rewarding to be able to connect and to be able to see that connection is possible all over the world. And for me, that is rewarding and just like so heartening. Viewing and and hope to continue that and grow it.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you for keeping it real. You're like, I don't have advice for that, but yeah, I thank you. Ale, do you have anything to add to that? Do you have any tips for self-care, the balance between self-care?
Oh yeah, for sure. I definitely do. And it and it has more to do with knowing when to step away. Whether it means like for me as an introvert, like people don't usually think I am, and so sometimes it's like I have to escape just to get away from people, like slip away. I need time away from people constantly, so that's one thing. But then in just in addition to that, just boundaries. Like for example, with Travel Latina, like Cindy, you know this very well with me, like we just haven't gotten to the point after 8 years of making money. And so I literally have to choose to do more stuff with my dancing constantly and say no to things with Trauma Latina because so many people want us to promote them for free, or so many people want us, brands want us to promote them for free, or people don't realize the amount of work we put into just sharing their content, and they get the attention and then we get nothing. So it's like I've had to really put my foot down and say no, and just not do anything that doesn't make me money, because that's where my current state right now is like, I literally can't. I need to make my rent next month. So just things like that, boundaries, saying no, escaping, doing the whole, I guess, like, what's that called? This is, I think, blasphemy for American families. My family does not like, but the whole Irish goodbye and just not saying anything when you leave. As long as it doesn't hurt anybody, I really feel like it's not that big of a deal. But you do have to do the beso, chao a todo el mundo, like every single la tía, el tío. It's hard for me when I'm really that tired. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to add other than just saying no, boundaries, escaping if you really need to.
I definitely feel like I need to find a better balance between self-care and entrepreneurship. I'm also in grad school and motherhood on top of it all. So it's been really hard for me to find that balance, especially because Ale, you know me, when I bring up all these ideas, I want to go all in, pero sí, tenemos que hallar un balance, tenemos que tener boundaries for others, and and also, like you mentioned, like know our worth and know our value. So thank you. I am moving on to our third and final topic, community care. So this, for me personally, this was a new topic for me. I had to research a little bit what this meant. So it refers to the collective effort and support provided by a community to promote the well-being, safety, and overall health of its members. Community care emphasizes that idea that the responsibility for caring and supporting individuals extends beyond our personal self-care or the care provided by formal institutions. So instead, community care involves fostering a sense of interconnectedness and mutual support among our community members. So in what ways do y'all participate in community care? Sahara?
Yeah, I mean, I just have sort of like the simple association that, oh, sorry, just a little bit of echo. I think very much like a trip like Salsa Terapia is 100% community care. I think dance is caring. I think quite simply and quite cheesily, dance is life. It offers all sorts of connection opportunities, connections with self, connection with people in dance class, and the trifecta for me that is dance, community, and connection kind of all is happening on this trip. At the same time that you're learning about yourself, you're learning about others, as part of your community, your dance community, and then, the community of Cali and Colombia at large. In learning about the dance of Colombia, salsa particularly, and the types of teachers that we're going to have, you end up learning about Colombia itself, the culture, how come they dance like that, why, where did they learn it, all sorts of things that just kind of imbues the classroom with a sense of community. Like, why is it like this? What does it say about the Colombian community, and how, when you dance, are you kind of dancing to or in homage to a certain community and culture? So I think it's like I really do, as trite as it sounds, dance is life. I also think it's incredibly deep when you are dancing something from another culture or in another place. You are truly like, what's the word? Fortifying and giving like more breath to that particular community and culture. So dance is another conversation, right? Dance is another kind of conversation. Dance is another kind of exchange you can have. And I just think it's all tied in there. It's all tied in there really, really beautifully. So yeah, that's my stance on that.
Okay, thanks for sharing that. Yes.
Yeah.
And Ale, um, why do you think that community care is important, especially within the Latin community?
Oh, yeah, I think that because of so many things that we face in terms of like our community faces different level. We're an ethnicity, right? So like we face different levels of different disadvantages, whether it's like racial tension or like socioeconomic issues at different levels. And so I think that, and aside from the fact that we are very family oriented culture and ethnicity, we already practice community care very much. And I know for both of you, for example, I acknowledge as mothers, you know, I see you having the same kind of like, oh man, I wish I had just more hands on deck, like I know that that's something like being a mother, the community care is so important in that. And so for me, sometimes self-care can be a little bit too selfish. And I have to admit, like myself right now in my current life situation, I'm being pretty selfish. Um, I've volunteered the majority of my life. I've always felt like somebody who was like checking in on people, like making sure they're okay, volunteering in my community. And then up until recently, I was seeing a money coach, Charlie, volunteering. And I was like, what? No. And they were like, no, you need to. Like, I'm telling you, like, you will do that. You need to help yourself thrive first. And then you can kind of go back to giving in what you're passionate about, but don't do it too much. And I'm like, oh my God, I never really thought about that. And so yeah, it kind of makes me feel very guilty because, I've just been raised like that, I think, because of my family and just like because of my personality. It's been really hard. But truly, I need to be selfish right now. I need that. Like, I have been very vocal to my family, to my friends, that I'm the one who needs the community care right now. And so like reaching out, and I think that it's just really important because we live in a very hyper individualistic and extremely toxic capitalistic patriarchal white supremacist Christian majority, like Christian fundamentalist society that really profits off of us being lonely or alone. So, I think community care is really important, and I truly am committed in getting back to being able to be giving like this more in the future. But yeah, I don't know. I just think of sometimes like the memes of like I used to like the holistic psychologist. I don't really like that influencer anymore because they don't incorporate BIPOC stances in the way that they share content about therapy and healing. And so, but they're, like they're just very like, yeah, they're very self-care oriented and not community care oriented at all. And like, just like I said, not even incorporating intersectional, like BIPOC issues. And so, yeah, I think for going back again, like Latin community, we need it's ingrained in our culture. Like we need it. Like this, like Sahara had mentioned, like this dancing, like it is such a community oriented activity. Just dancing alone is yeah, of course, do it alone because that's also very healing, but like just amazing how when a community comes together to do it together can be so much more powerful. And that's just dancing. Like, what if we incorporated that level of energy into political change or into improving inequality in this country for Latinos or inequality in Latin America, for example.
Yeah. Touching on what you said about like voicing, I guess this is also related to boundaries. Like you said, you've voiced to your friends, you've voiced to your family that you need the community care right now. And I think growing up Latino, like when it comes to like, let's say mental health, no compartimos lo que nos está pasando. You know, like we grew up, at least in my family, like nobody was talking about like, I don't feel good today, I may be going through depression, or I need more care. So just the fact that our generation like is uplifting our own voice, you know, to say like, I need this right now, please. Es un cambio radical and necesario. So definitely I agree with what you said. Bueno, chicas, tenemos 10 minutitos. Creo que la conversación ha sido muy buena. I've gained so much from this conversation and learning from how y'all practice self-care, community care, healing. Y bueno, también aprendí un poco más de salsa terapia, de qué se va a tratar el trip to Cali, Colombia in December. So entonces, Sahara, if you can give us a little more details on our trip to Colombia, a little breakdown of what will the trip look like if I was to come in December.
Yeah, and I just wanted to mention that the thing about December, I know it's tricky. I think tickets from the West Coast are a little more expensive. It's looking really good for East Coasters, but understanding that, I'm trying to pad and make the actual arrival day of Christmas like even more personalized. So it's not that we're going to drop you off at a hotel and say Merry Christmas, whether or not you do not celebrate it. People do celebrate it, you know, in Cali. So the idea, which is not fully fleshed out on the website, but the idea is there to like immerse de una. So like you arrive, and then my family, wherever we're having Christmas, because I don't imagine it to be a big group, you know, it'd be like 8 to 10 people, or maybe even 6 to 8 people. We would all celebrate together. So you sort of have a place to go. You would eat the food that, you know, my aunties are cooking. You have transportation then safely back to the hotel. And, you know, if that is something that you are wanting to do, if you arrive, you know, before 4 or 5 p.m., I think that's what I was thinking for the cutoff, then that's how I kind of wanted to start it. Just like start it on a high note during the holidays, because understanding that whoever your family or chosen family is, you're not exactly with them in this, you know, high holiday. So being with a smaller community of, you know, kind and warm and open people in a new country is like the least that we could offer you. So that's Christmas. And then the next day we really get started. So again, the philosophy with Scarlet Macaw trips is, you know, we've had trips and we've done Cartagena where we just pivots from that. There are a lot of people who really just want to see a place with their own eyes. You know, we learned this from the travel, the Conexión Latinx in Salento. Like we learned kind of what people wanted to do with their time versus what they wanted to do with us. And so really taking that into account, it's basically the days are broken up. We're having 2 hours dance every day. Salsa choque with local folks who are, there's like 2 couples who we're deciding between. So that will come later. And then spread out through the week, there are 2 experiences, not just like this is the Catedral de whatever, you know, it's going to be something that's actually pertinent to the history of salsa. So we're doing that with a doctora, a doctorate student named Laura Sotero, who I'm going to share a little bit more about on Instagram this week. We're doing a sort of a deep dive into the music and the history and the barrios around where this music comes from, and what it's all about, as it is relevant to Salsa Caleña and also to the Feria de Salsa. And then the other kind of excursion outing that we're doing is when we go to the Galeria, this will be like, there'll be 2 days where we have these like tours or experiences We're going to go to a very well-known Afro-Pacific woman's kind of like spot in the Galeria. So we'll have sort of, the Galeria is a hub in Cali where my grandmother used to shop for food every day. And it's since turned into like a place that's like food tours, but there's so much more there. So we're working with a woman who I think has gained a little bit of notoriety in the past few years. Her name seems to echo when I sort of ask about her. So we'll do kind of like a full food tropical, like chontaduro, lulo, champús. Like we're just gonna eat and drink everything, and then talk to this woman about her experience in the Galeria and beyond. And then interspersed in those days, we're gonna pick sort of the best parts of the Feria de Salsa itinerary to go to at night, to participate in, to see. We're not going to do the big concerts or kind of like the little barrio kind of experiences. We're probably going to go to the like one of the sort of like big salsa performances. And in that space, you can sort of participate, dance, look around at records. You can sort of get a vibe about like how people, just dance in the streets. So we're going to do one or two of that. And then the trip will culminate with a trip to Mulato Cabaret. And that's kind of a spectacular show of people's incredible dance talents. And then Ale and I are really trying to find the best time to like knock it out the park with amazing videography and choreo and just let people let loose and have fun. So it's an itinerary, but it's not jam-packed. People do have opportunities besides this welcome dinner for Christmas and a goodbye dinner with Mulato Cabaret. People do have the chance to sort of be in a safe city, in a safe part of town, walk around, poke around, look at San Antonio Church, and eat at these cute little spots that have popped up around San Antonio. And then we know that the 30th is also a crazy day to travel. So my mom and my auntie and Brian, my partner, we will be there, if you need to extend your stay in any other part of Colombia or Cali itself, beyond the trips ending on the 30th, we will absolutely extend, that kind of, I guess, concierge, just advice. Like we'll be there on the ground if you need to stay through New Year's as well. So just trying to button it up and understand that it's a lot for people to travel on those dates and to welcome with open arms.
Wow, it sounds like the things that you have chosen are going to be great experiences, just because it's si voy a ir, te voy a confiar en ti. And bueno, una preguntita that I think maybe in American countries, for people that are maybe for people that maybe have concerns about the safety of Cali, Colombia, what do y'all have to say about those concerns?
I would have to say that we are going to travel smartly. We're going to travel smartly. We have like a bunch of we have safety measures built into the people who are providing transportation if and when we go out at night. And as always, we debrief folks. It's like any big city in the world, but with a particular, what are the things that you can do to be safe and how you can to just be walking around. And if you feel uncomfortable, then you'll have people to go out with. So what I can say is I get that there's good people everywhere and there's unfortunate situations everywhere, but the idea is not to go do kind of some rogue thing. Like we're going to well-traveled paths with secure vehicles and local drivers, and staying at a hotel. It's not like a country house or anything like that. So we're sort of like in the best places we can be publicly, and well-traveled paths. We're not doing anything off the beaten. So I think that kind of counts for a lot as well in a city like Cali.
Cool. Thank you for sharing. Had to ask because vemos una cosa, vemos noticias que te quiere dar la perspectiva mala, and then, you know, and then you go there, especially if you're guided. I'm sure like everyone will have a great time and a safe time. So thank you. Ale, do you have anything else to add to our conversation to conclude our conversation?
I would just say, vengan, estamos con los brazos abiertos, los estamos esperando. Let's have some fun. Let's dance. Let's take it all in. Let's be silent, observe the surroundings in Cali. Like, I'm so excited that I want to do this with a group of women. And vengan, están muy, muy invitados, están bienvenidos, bienvenidas, bienvenides. Looking forward to really bringing in the new year with all of you. Vengan, and estamos esperándolos, esperándolas, esperándoles.
Sounds good, ladies. Thank you so much for today's conversation.
Let's take a photo. Let's take a photo.
Let's do it. I'll right in my face. So.
Okay, so just make sure you hold a pose without blinking for about 15 minutes. I know it's going to be interesting for everyone watching. But... Okay, I think we're good. Thank you, ladies. Thanks, everybody. Gracias. Un beso grande. Ciao.
Bye, ladies.